If you're just getting into design, you've probably looked at some apps or websites and thought, wow, what makes this so good? Well, today we're pulling back the curtain on that secret. And here's the spoiler, it's not some kind of magic. It's a blueprint, a set of tools that anyone can learn. You know that feeling, right? You download a new app, you open it up, and it just clicks. Everything is exactly where you expect it to be. You're not fighting with it, you're not confused, you're just using it. So, what's the secret sauce behind that amazing, effortless experience? That's the big secret right there. It's psychology. The best designers out there, they aren't just incredible artists. They're basically practical psychologists. They get that the key to amazing design is really understanding how our brains are wired. And this quote from John Yablonsky just nails it. Psychology gives us a blueprint to how people think. And these laws of UX we're talking about today, they're really just a set of awesome tools that help us design things that work with that human blueprint, not against it. Okay, so let's get to it. Consider this your first day in the workshop. We're about to hand you your first set of essential, really powerful tools. Let's get started. Just think about it for a second. When you walk into a grocery store you've never been to before, you don't need a map, right? You kind of know the fruits and veggies will be up front and the milk will be way in the back. We carry those exact same expectations with us when we go online. And that brings us to our very first tool, Jacob's Law. It's built on a really simple but powerful idea. People already have expectations. They expect things to work a certain way because they've used a million other websites before. So as a designer, your job isn't to reinvent the wheel every single time. It's to meet those expectations and make people feel right at home. And this is a perfect example of that idea in the wild. Take a look at this Etsy page. You got the search bar at the top, categories on the side, products laid out in a grid. It looks familiar, doesn't it? That's on purpose. Pretty much every online store uses a layout like this. And because it's familiar, you can just focus on shopping, not on figuring out how the website works. All right, tool number 2, let's talk about the actual physical interaction. This is all about closing the gap between what a user wants to do and actually doing it on the screen. I mean, this is just common sense, isn't it? If you're throwing a dart, you'd much rather the dartboard be gigantic and right in front of your face. Well, that same simple physical truth has a huge impact on how we design for screens. And this idea has a name, Fitz's Law. All it really says is that the bigger and closer something is, the faster and easier it is to click on with a mouse or tap with your finger. It's a super simple rule, but it completely changes how you should think about designing buttons, links, and menus. So the big takeaway here is to start seeing everything you can click or tap on as a target. Your job is to make the most important targets really, really easy to hit. But it's not just about making things bigger, it's about making them smarter. Now check this out. This is an absolutely brilliant example. The controls to adjust the seat in this car are shaped exactly like the seat. That is genius. You don't have to think or guess what each button does. Your brain instantly gets it. You just do. That's Fitz's Law applied with some serious style. Okay, on to our third tool. This one is all about you, the designer, acting as a curator. It's about the art of cutting things out, of protecting your user from feeling totally overwhelmed. We've all been there, right? Staring at a menu with like 200 different things on it, and you just can't decide. You start to feel that little bit of panic rising. Well, that paradox of choice is a real thing, and when your users feel it, they're way more likely to just give up and go somewhere else. And this brings us to Hick's Law. Basically, the more choices you throw at someone, the longer it's going to take them to make a decision. It's like you're adding mental weight. So your job as a designer is to be ruthless. Cut the clutter, simplify the choices, and make it incredibly easy for the user to get what they came for. And this slide right here, this is a masterclass in using Hick's Law. Notion is an insanely powerful tool, which means it could be really overwhelming. So instead of throwing new users into the deep end, what do? They give them a simple little checklist. They break down this huge task of learning the software into small, easy steps. That lowers the stress and makes you feel like you're making progress. It's brilliant. So, okay, you've now got some core tools from the blueprint to make your designs way easier to use. But there's another layer to this. Because once you have this knowledge, you also have a pretty big responsibility. And this is where that responsibility really comes into play. There's this thing called the aesthetic usability effect. It's the idea that things that look beautiful feel easier to use, even if they aren't. Good looks create a positive vibe, and that makes people more forgiving of little problems. That's a powerful tool because it shows that aesthetics aren't just decoration, they're a core part of the experience. At the end of the day, all of these laws and principles point to one big idea. We aren't designing for perfect, logical robots. We're designing for people, with all their quirks, their mental shortcuts, and their limitations. Our job is to bend technology to fit humans, not the other way around. And it is so important to remember this. These aren't laws like the law of gravity. You can't break gravity. These are more like powerful guidelines. They're heuristics. You have to understand them deeply before you can even think about bending them. They're your foundation for making smart design choices that actually help people. Look, knowing this stuff is kind of a superpower. It gives you the ability to create experiences that are not just easy and beautiful, but also influential. You now have a piece of the blueprint for how people think and behave. So the real question isn't just about making better designs, it's about making things better for people. So how are you going to use this blueprint?